the early buttonwood days where the people would meet under the tree to trade shares of companies amongst themselves. I believe that's how like the New York Stock Exchange got started. Right away I understood, okay, this is the biggest thing. This is like the biggest opportunity that I've ever heard in my life. And the debt burden, you know, whatever, we're at $38 trillion, but at some point, bond market will break and there'll be like a rush to Bitcoin.
How much time do we have?
Say at least 5 years, maybe 350,000, 1.2 million, 10 years from now.
It is our very pleasure to have Austin here with us. He is the partner of 10X Capital. Hello.
Hello, yeah. Nice setup you got here. You guys are doing great.
Thank you. I want to go back to 2013 when you started the first physical Bitcoin exchange.
Yeah, I believe it was the first.
That is huge.
Well, could have been bigger. It was cool.
Right.
It was cool.
Okay, how did you come up with the concept?
Well, I was like kind of buying and selling Bitcoin already for some time, and I knew there was like a scene, and I was living in New York City, and there was a scene there developing of people who were kind of doing local trades together, peer-to-peer trades.
To me, because it's so far away, like a small group of people, I assume.
Small, but you know, it grew very quickly. I wasn't even in there in the beginning. So there was like a Bitcoin meetup that started. I believe it started right at the end of 2012, and then picked up pace in 2013, as you know, kind of the whole industry did. Because in 2013, you remember there was kind of two separate pumps. You know, there was like in the beginning of the year, Bitcoin went to like almost $100, I think.
Wow.
And that was like a big deal, you know, because that was the first time that had happened. I think in 2012, there was a point in 2012 where I think it was like less than $10. And then, so for it to go, I think it was like February or March of 2013, it hit like $100. That was a really big deal. And then they went back down to like sub 60, sub 50. And then obviously, as we all remember, by the end of the year, it had hit 1,000, and that was like a massive thing. So in New York, they had these meetups of Bitcoin enthusiasts, as they still do all over the world. I'm sure they still do them in New York. And part of that was kind of a live trading floor reminiscent of the early buttonwood days where the people would meet under the tree to trade shares of companies amongst themselves, which was kind of how I believe that's how like the New York Stock Exchange got started.
Really?
Yeah, they would meet under the buttonwood tree, like near Wall Street. On Wall Street, there was a tree.
Yeah.
And that tree was kind of the first location for kind of the trading pit where they were. I don't know. I'm probably butchering this story, but it was something like that. I remember it was the buttonwood tree, and so we had something where people would make the market in person. There was like a cash market for Bitcoin in person, and people would come there and to buy and sell Bitcoin with cash during the meetups. And so I didn't really know anything about markets before that, but then being there for that, and you know, I started like trading Bitcoin myself somewhat, and then I kind of realized that, you know, probably a Bitcoin exchange was a good business. When I first got into it, I didn't understand how.
I see.
I could see it was like the best opportunity I'd ever seen in my life. That I understood, but I didn't know how. So I went and I bought some Bitcoin from somebody, actually from Joseph Lubin.
Wow.
I went and bought Bitcoin from Joseph Lubin.
How did you do that? So back in the days, did you have to exchange? You have to meet him, or? Yeah.
So I wanted to buy some Bitcoin. I had already kind of got into Bitcoin a few years earlier, but I didn't get like fully obsessed. I think I was missing something. And so then I went to go buy Bitcoin after 12 months of like not thinking about it. I went to go buy Bitcoin, and back then you could go on Local Bitcoin. Was probably the biggest Bitcoin website. I mean, Mt. Gox probably had more volume circulating through it, but I think for sure Local Bitcoin was the most profitable Bitcoin business. They took 1% of all they basically had like an escrow platform where they would take 1% of the trade. And so you would answer a classified ad essentially that said, you know, I'm selling Bitcoin or whatever, and so I messaged the guy, I said, oh, I want to buy some Bitcoin, and he said, meet me at the coffee shop on 14th Street or something, I think it was. And so I went to the coffee shop, and then I met the guy, and I think this was really early to 2013. And I said, oh, I need some Bitcoin. I need $50 of Bitcoin. And he said, oh, do you want $50 of Bitcoin, or do you want $50 and also a little extra for the mining fee? And when I had learned about Bitcoin before, like in 2011, I don't think there was mining fee. Like you would just it was just like the miners would mine with no fee.
Right,
it was like,
right.
There was never a wait or any, I don't know. And then I didn't know what he meant. So I said, why would I need the mining fee? How does it work? I started asking questions about that. And it ended up, I had one of the, smartest people in the whole world, luckily, that I had met up with, which was Joseph Lubin. And I asked him, how does it work, the mining? And he explained to me. It was like at least an hour he took to explain to me in detail how the mining worked. And when I left the coffee shop, I was like, oh my God, this is huge. Because I'd already been into Bitcoin a little bit. I was really into gold, and I was just like really not into central banking. I had looked into other projects and that had failed, like Liberty Reserve and other things, which I don't really remember. I never like invested financially in them much, but I was following them, and then they would, they got shut down by the government, and there was a couple others. And then that conversation with him, I finally realized why Bitcoin couldn't be shut down like those other ones. I never had gotten it fully. And when I realized, okay, it's like, it has, the mining is like, it anchors it to reality, so that no one can like just, the network is real because it's anchored into reality through the mining. And once I realized that, I thought, wow, this is so big. And I remember walking back to my office. It was like, I wasn't the boss. I was walking to the office, and I was like, wow, I have to figure out how to tell my boss that I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm only going to do Bitcoin. So I started thinking, whoa, what does that mean? I'm only going to do Bitcoin? Because I could understand right away. I understood, okay, this is the biggest thing. This is like the biggest opportunity that I've ever heard in my life.
In terms of financial gain?
Yeah. Like just, this is like the scale of it became, I thought before, years before, I was like, okay, this kind of be big, but I didn't quite get it. Yeah. So, but at that moment, I got it, and as soon as I got it, I was like, wow, this is so big. It's so big. Like I clearly don't understand anything about this. Like it's so big, and I need to just like completely focus on this. And it's like it wasn't a long walk. It was half-hour walk max. So I'm walking back, and I'm trying to sort myself out, because right away I was like, this is what I have to focus on fully. I cannot waste my energy on anything else. This is the biggest thing that I've ever seen. But I didn't know the dot I couldn't connect is I was like, okay, but what is that? How do I make money on it? And I didn't realize, okay, this is the money. The way that you make money on it is get as much of it as possible. Like that was kind of, I guess you could kind of understand that, but I was like, okay, well, how do I get as much of it as possible? I need to make fiat. I need to make the slave money. And
wait, you realized that back then?
I realized it on the walk. I was like, this is so heavy. This is going to be so big. There's clearly so much upside. But I didn't it was like a frantic thing going on in my head. It was like I didn't grasp like, okay, what do I do? Like it's like everything is so the scale of it is so huge that it's like, imagine you have a swarm of locusts coming at you. What do? You have to get a net, try to catch as many as possible. It's like the scale is so mind-boggling. So I was already like, in my head, I was already like years ahead. I was like, wow, this is going to be so huge, but then what do I do? And so I had went and bought Bitcoin from this guy. So I was like, oh, you need to like sell Bitcoin. That's how you make money, by selling the Bitcoin. Trying to sell Bitcoin and like set up this infrastructure, and it was good. It was a good idea. But I'd never run an exchange before. I'd never even traded on an exchange before. I never did anything like that. And neither did any of the partners I had in the business. But we did, we were setting it up pretty well. We had basically the entire framework for exchanges. This is, before Kraken ever launched. And this is, back then it was like Mt. Gox and Bitstamp were the only exchange. And then there was a bunch of altcoin exchanges like Poloniex and MintPal and Cryptsy. And Coinbase didn't have an exchange. They had like a brokerage. So it's like of all those I just mentioned, which were all the main, and there was one called Camp BT. No one remembers that one, but that was, somewhat relevant in America. And so what? Does one of those exchanges still exist or something? Two of them? I guess Bitstamp kind of still exists. Mm-hmm. So two of those, the major exchanges. So it's clearly a volatile industry. So we opened the Bitcoin Center, which was like the physical event space for Bitcoin, and we had a physical exchange going on, and we had a trading floor every week. Like a open outcry trading floor, and we were incubating some Bitcoin businesses, and we had a mining company that set up there, and they ended up going under like almost every other mining company. But for a while, they were producing some Bitcoin, and we had like a big Dogecoin party there in 2014, actually, mm-hmm. which was covered by the media a lot. We had a lot of media coverage back then. We were on, if you search like Bitcoin Center New York, you'll find like CNBC segments and CNN segments, and
let's go back
tons
to
of media like that.
2013. Did you have to convince people, because that was so early?
Yeah.
Well, how did people describe Bitcoin? Is it the same?
No, there's definitely a lot of differences. So we were like literally stopping people in the street talking about Bitcoin, like in front of our space there. We were distributing, actually David Bailey, the guy who runs this conference, we were the biggest distributors for his first magazine, which is called Why Bitcoin, before he had purchased Bitcoin Magazine. We also were distributing Bitcoin Magazine and a bunch of other stuff. It's very rare today, at least for me, that I start a conversation for like the bare bones of, it's been years since I've like really done that, or at least at any scale. Back then, anyone you spoke to was like, you have to assume that they'd never heard of it ever. And now it's like, world leaders and business leaders, and like every single day, literally, there's news that back then would have been like the biggest news of the month or of the year. And now it's every day there's something that would have been considered, and then and anytime there was news like that, it would pump the price massive percentages, like, oh, they said Bitcoin on some TV show and Bitcoin's up 10%. Well, because they said it on some random TV show. Stuff like that.
If you could go back to that period of time, and what would you tell yourself, and would you have believed this future self?
I believed for sure. I was already like thinking of crazy. Well, luckily I got like very early on introduced to like brilliant people who ended up becoming very, very, very successful. So it's kind of interesting to like think about it, like those relationships. But I was like being in New York, was lucky enough to be around like a lot of very talented people who saw it very early. And we're also very enthusiastic. It's not like they saw it and they wanted to like sit in their room and just pontificate solo. It's like, people were very excited to talk about Bitcoin with all the other people who wanted to talk about the Bitcoin. So it literally came to dominate my life for, it's still obviously very relevant in my life. But back then, the obsession was serious, It's like completely obsessed all day, every day for years, let's say.
Is it because you think this is going to be huge in terms of value? Or is it because of the, decentralization, the concept?
It was definitely that initially. Look, like I thought it would be huge in terms of value, but it was like I was very excited by it. For sure, very excited primarily by its ability to like disintermediate central banking and free the markets. And I've always thought that central banking and setting the interest rates in a top-down, controlled manner was disastrous for human progress, basically, and is the source of just untold trillions of dollars of malinvestment. And if we didn't have that system in place, that humanity would be way more advanced than it is. I was really into that, and I was thinking that for years before I got into Bitcoin. And so that was where it first started. I was like, this is like the answer, that this is, the clear next step for human economy to go past, this era, this post-war, like central bank controlled fiat era. When I first discovered Bitcoin, I was working at a think tank in DC that was like an economic policy think tank that was very sympathetic to like sound money ideas and very kind of not sympathetic to central bank and controlled economies and things like that. So that was like the primary thing, is I just thought it was very powerful just for humanity, and you know, like I say, like I was in it for the tech. But the cool thing about Bitcoin is it's like the tech and the financial aspect and the social aspects all overlap, and it's all, you know, it has like those multiple facets. And so that was the facet I was most into from the beginning. But you know, I got into everything. I'm you know, really in it for the tech, and then the value side of it. It wasn't so clear cut for me as I wish I would have been. I mean, it was still, I think I was a little bit ahead of the curve, but that definitely wasn't like my initial drive. It wasn't like, oh, I need to get so into this because I'm going to get so rich. It was like, I need to get into this because it's so powerful or whatever.
Well, if you don't really like big institutions, Wall Street and all that, what do you think about them joining?
Well, it's not that I don't like big institutions. It's like that perversion of the price of money from central banking. What is now basically explicit bailout guarantees for the largest financial institutions. And so obviously that inflates to a degree we won't be able to quantify, but is a massive degree. It inflates the size of what the firm would otherwise be. Because as firms grow, they get less agile and less, you know, less able to shift as the economy changes, as things change.
Let's say we don't have fiat and it's all on Bitcoin standard.
Yeah.
What would the world be like? There, like, is there a stock market?
Oh, there'd be it would be a rocket ship into you're discussing our inevitable, incredible future. No, of course there's a stock market. Of course, there's the markets would be more dynamic than ever before. All markets.
But the price, well, if it's Bitcoin standard, then how do you, it's hard for me to picture.
You price it in Bitcoin.
But what I'm really saying is, okay, let's say this whole market, there are only two companies, you and me. So every dollar or every Bitcoin that I gain is from you. So it's like a zero-sum game.
Well, that's the unit of measure. The amount of value that humanity can create in the aggregate is infinite, and it's not defined by the denominator. You know, so in that way, it's like it's not really zero sum. Each Bitcoin is, you know, like the thing is like infinity divided by 21 million. That each Bitcoin can represent an infinite amount of economic activity. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but you're still talking about dollar, right? Like $100. This.
Yeah, but if I gave you one Bitcoin as well, it's the same. It's the same analogy.
Okay, I have a hard time understanding.
Like I could hold all my Bitcoin that I hold. I mean, obviously, I'd like to save Bitcoin.
Okay, let's say there's only
10
10 Bitcoin in the world, and
well, we can say there's 21 million.
21.
Let's say there's 21 million Bitcoin in the world.
Just for me to
you want to do the math
easier.
easy.
Like yeah. So 10 Bitcoin, and there are only a few companies in the world. Now, you said there'll still be a stock market, which means if my stock goes up 1 Bitcoin, somebody else's stock has to go down 1 Bitcoin, or like the collectively, I don't know, goes up 20x in 2 years. You won't see anything like that anymore. If
there's only 10 Bitcoin, think about it as something easier. Like there's 10 Bitcoin, but you need to eat. So you're going to spend a few Satoshis to go buy a sandwich. Right. You're not going to say, no, I'll starve today and I'll starve tomorrow and I'm not going to eat ever again because I want to get maximum amount of Bitcoin. If you want to get the maximum amount of Bitcoin, you probably are going to need to spend a few Satoshis on some groceries because otherwise you're going to be dead. And if you're dead, you can't get Bitcoin.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it's harder to get rich.
No. It's much easier to get rich.
Really?
Well, yeah, because there's so much malinvestment. The market signal, that the price signal is going to be so much healthier. It's going to be.
That is true.
So you're going to have a much more efficient market when you have a Bitcoin standard, and so of course there's going to be businesses that outperform Bitcoin. If you have a Bitcoinized economy, Bitcoin is going to be a relatively stable asset. It'll probably be one of the most stable assets because it's like the denominator for all the activity in the economy.
In this world that you're describing, do we still have
in our inevitable, incredible future?
it's going to happen?
We probably still have fiat because the governments are going to be printing it to try to have their last vestige of like control and relevance. But the fiat's essentially going to be like food stamp money.
Right. Right.
It's going to be like, you know, as it dies off, it's going to be used to like placate those who don't have Bitcoin, basically.
How much time do we have until then?
I don't know. Say at least 25 years. It's got to be
25 years.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because you could have catalyst events.
Like, for example?
Like the bond market failing. So you have like a massive debt burden in like governments the world over. Incredible amounts of debt that are, I believe, unprecedented in the history of humanity. And no one's even pretending like they're doing anything to stop it.
What can you do? It's you can't stop it. What can you realistically do to stop it? It's designed.
The individuals or like the governments?
Yeah,
what could they do?
The governments.
Well, they could like stop spending.
But they won't.
No, they won't. Exactly. So what could they do? They could lower spending. They could increase revenues, which is like increase taxes, or they can monetize it. But clearly, they're going to monetize it.
But if they
obviously they're going to monetize it.
If they do that, they won't get elected. Right?
No, they will get elected.
If I raise the tax,
if you raise taxes, you won't get elected.
Exactly.
If you reduce spending, you won't get elected. If you monetize it, it's a much more obscured, opaque, delayed taxation scheme. Push your country into hyperinflation isn't great for your electoral chances, but it's better than the other two options. So they're going to monetize the debt. And long story short, we're like, maybe we're a ways away. I don't know how much more load it can take, at least in the U.S., which is fiscally relevant country on Earth, probably, at least in the West. But it probably, it's like the largest government on Earth, and the debt burden, whatever we're at $38 trillion. Maybe it can go to $138 trillion. Maybe that takes 20 years. But at some point, the bond market will break. The bonds will not be worth purchasing. But probably the bond market will break, and there'll be like a rush to Bitcoin. And then governments all over the world will try to like clamp down on Bitcoin, and they'll try to close the on-ramps and off-ramps, or there's a whole bunch of things they could do. They could proactively like embrace Bitcoin and start to like get exposure to Bitcoin to try to shore up their currencies. Some will probably do that, and they'll benefit from it, but probably a lot of governments will go to try to like slam the gates on the exits and initiate like Bitcoin-centric capital controls. They won't benefit from that in the long term, but individuals might really suffer. Pretty much exactly what the U.S. did with private gold holdings in whenever that was, 37 or whatever.
The debt problem that you were talking about, are they trying to solve it with stablecoin?
In a way, yeah. I guess the stablecoin is seen as like maybe the solution for reduced foreign interest in U.S. debt. I think it's actually going to work, at least for quite some time. It buys a lot of time. But it's also introducing like a poison pill from that perspective, because these rails are obviously like overlap with Bitcoin. It gets people used to using digital currencies, help accelerate Bitcoinization. It acts like a stepping stone towards like Bitcoinization at the individual level.
Let's say we swap the government and you're now the president of this country, and you can...
Of Hong Kong?
Whatever country, right?
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. And
president of Hong Kong, that sounds cool.
And now you can bring on all the Bitcoiners, and you can reset the financial rules of a country. What would you do?
It's a horrible job. It would be horrible.
Yeah, what would you do?
I would slash spending, slash the size of the government.
Doge tried to do
that? Yeah. Maybe it wouldn't work. I don't know. I don't know exactly what Doge did or what they were trying to do or whatever, but it's like an impossible thing. I mean, that's literally what deficit spending is. When you're talking about deficit spending at the nation-state level, it's taking from the grandkids and great-grandchildren to spend on yourself. You're like literally taking from quality of life from future generations to subsidize your quality of life. It's it's evil. It's horrible.
If you think you could do that forever, then it's not evil anymore because they can do that.
Well, they can do it forever for their lifespans. Like, many people who initiated this, they're not going to be alive when the bill comes due, and some sort of systematic reset will need to occur. It's inevitable because there's no plan to address the debt. There's no plan to pay it off.
You're the president. You can do whatever you want.
So, well, that's not really the way it works. Yeah, I'd print. Yeah, just print. Just print the money and buy Bitcoin.
Maybe
that's the only way to do it. You print the money and buy Bitcoin. You be the first to do it. You can't be the last to. Like, you can't wait. You're the 57th country to do it. You're screwed. Especially if you're the size of the U.S., you have the reserve currency of the world. You might as well take advantage, start printing, get some Bitcoin.
Well, that's what all the treasury companies are doing.
Well, they can't print money like the Federal Reserve can.
But they can borrow cheaply.
They can borrow cheaply, and they can borrow more cheaply than individuals, even like, high net worth individuals. So that's like, that's the kind of the hack here, that's the inherent advantage. If you want to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, front load it, then that's the way you can do it. One way you can do it. And so that's why we're seeing this take off. And there's going to be a bunch of other ways that people haven't thought of or haven't done yet. And there's going to be like conduits into every aspect of the market. There's going to be waves like going into fixed income and even into municipal debt, all sorts of stuff like that. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be the Bitcoinization of all the capital in the world is like a tall order. So there's going to be a lot of paths and conduits for the capital to flow into Bitcoin.
Right now it's all the companies, but in the future, maybe countries will actually print to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I think that's certain. I mean, they're going to do it. Somebody's going to do it. But when that starts in earnest, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But it's definitely going to happen for sure.
Thoughts on Ethereum treasury company?
Why not? Like, let's just turn all the stock markets into crypto exchanges and YOLO. I mean, like, it's better than most of the like zombies and trash listed on the stock markets.
Are you a Bitcoin only person?
Yeah.
You are?
Pretty much, yeah.
So you think altcoins, like all the other DATs, they might work?
Well, it depends on what scale you're talking about. I don't know. In that regard, I'm probably not going to be an investor in many altcoin DATs, but it is interesting to turn all the capital markets into like Bitcoin exchanges and crypto exchanges. So let's see it.
It seems like you are having fun in this whole thing. Like, people look at it as really serious stuff, but you just have this, it's fun, that type of vibe.
It's fun, yeah. It's fun to do things.
Like, let's try this, let's try that,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I guess I'm, lucky enough to be in this position. And it's a very interesting industry. And then, like, all the smartest people I meet, they're in this industry. Then I meet other people and they're not in the industry, they're not as smart. So it's probably a good sign,
What would happen in 10 years? In 10 years, we sit here again, we're talking, what's happening now?
Yeah. All the government debt levels will be way, way, way higher. Bitcoin will be way higher. The mind share for Bitcoin globally will be much higher as well. It's like Bitcoin will be like standard in their brain. It's normal. It's not like some brand new space age technology like it is for the geriatrics who hold the vast majority of the wealth on Earth. I mean, the vast, vast majority of the wealth on Earth is held by extremely elderly people. And so 10 years from now, a lot of those people will have passed away, and the money, that wealth will be held by younger people. And that just is a process that will continue for some time, most likely, as the old people will die, and then hopefully more babies will be born and they'll grow up. And eventually, Bitcoin's going to be like super normal technology that is like existed their entire lives. You know, it's like a teenager today doesn't find an iPad to be a like insanely novel thing or something that they don't understand. It's like very normal to them. They understand it very well.
So no Bitcoin conferences anymore because it's so normal.
Well, there's probably a lot of Bitcoin conferences because there's a lot of conferences for all sorts of stuff that's been around forever, you know? There's like train conferences. The trains have been around a long time.
That is true.
And there's like, you know, car conferences, auto shows.
Yeah.
But the autos have been around a while.
They're selling the parts and they're selling the cars. But if Bitcoin is normalized, are people...
Well, there'll be all sorts of stuff to sell. You can sell like all sorts of financial services and custody services and mining equipment and all sorts, probably stuff I haven't really thought of, but there'll be it's going to be huge.
Okay. You've been around...
massive.
You've been around for a very long time, and there are still people watching the show. Maybe they are still hesitant.
I don't know.
Advice.
If they're hesitant to buy Bitcoin or to hold Bitcoin?
They could still be hesitant. Like, they hear about it, but it's still something...
What else are you going to hold? It's the only thing it's like the only free market left. I mean, everything else is fake and trash. What are you going to, like, they print infinite money, dollars, and everything, not just dollars, all the fiat currencies, wherever you are, whatever currency that your government is, like, forcing you to trade in, it's trash. They just print infinite. There's no limit. They can print forever, and they will print forever. And Bitcoin is, like, it's scarce to an artificial degree. It's scarce beyond like the physical world. There's everything else that's ever existed is we keep getting more and more of it, right? It's imagine like gold. Gold's been like a monetary asset that's highly sought after for thousands of years now, and then every year there's still 1 or 2% more gold pulled out and increased. The supply is increased. And the supply will like keep increasing. There's like gold in every body of water. There's gold in mountains still. There's gold in outer space. Massive amounts of gold. There's like infinite gold. The only thing there's not infinite of is Bitcoin. It's artificial level of scarcity. It's a synthetic level of scarcity that has never existed in the physical realm in the real world. It's something like completely novel in that way.
Are we still early?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely. I mean, really? I don't know. There's levels of early.
Yeah.
But it's still very. If Bitcoin's going to be the reference unit for economic activity for the next hundreds of years at least, then yeah, we're very early.
In that case, I need your price prediction.
Price prediction for when?
Well, end of the year is a little too short. Let's do end of the year. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
End of the year is, I mean, I guess the most likely would be just the price that it is today at the end of the year, because it's like almost the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what is the price of Bitcoin today? Like 110,000. 5 years? Who knows? 5 years, maybe like a 350,000. Was it 10 years? It'd be like 1.2 million 10 years from now. It's a long time, 10 years, especially for something like this. And 20 years? I don't know. 1.4 million.
Okay, advice for people. Do you think people should actually, because we're still early and because it's going to go up in value, what should I do now? Like, should I do whatever it takes to buy as many as I can?
Yeah, definitely. Like, get a job and buy Bitcoin.
Get 2 jobs.
Get 2 jobs if you need 2 jobs, yeah. I mean, like, do whatever you can because the clock is ticking. And clearly, like, more and more moneyed interests are becoming aware. We're clearly on the right trajectory, that more and more people and more capital is going to want to get into Bitcoin. And so one actually advantage that individuals have is the potential to move quickly. When you have these large institutions, they have a lot of money, but they have, all these bureaucrats that need to feel significant and have all these meetings with each other to talk about, our risk matrix. And if you're an individual, you don't have that. Like, maybe you have someone you need to like bounce it off of, that you live with, I don't know, whatever, but like you have a lot more flexibility. So go and throw whatever spare change you can while you can, because it's been a great idea always. Like so far, everyone who's done that has benefited massively. But if you're watching this and you have like a semblance of like duty to your future self and your future friends and family, and you're not like completely financially illiterate and completely irresponsible, then buy as much Bitcoin as you can like today and save money. If the money is Bitcoin, then you have some alpha, because a lot of the money that's being saved out there in the world, they don't know that yet. So you have a little edge. So go and get as much Bitcoin as quickly as possible as you can, and it, I think, will be a good idea. You've
seen Bitcoin at a really, really cheap price. Are you still buying now?
Yeah. Every cent of income that I've had since whenever I got into it, when I was telling you back in the day, every cent I put into Bitcoin, always, from that point until now.
Crazy.
Well, what else are you going to do with it?
I don't know. Enjoy life.
Everything else is garbage. Well, you enjoy life. Yeah, enjoy life. But what do you mean? Like I should go spend recklessly? That's the key?
True.
What do you mean enjoy life? What does that mean?
As in, like, okay, should I not go on this trip?
You should save money. What are you talking about? I don't know what you enjoy. Enjoy your life, yeah, but you need to save money. So if you're going to save money, then save Bitcoin.
I see.
Bitcoin is like the money now. Most people don't realize. So save Bitcoin. If you want to go spend frivolously, you can do that, but it's going to like not be great in the future. You can go look at like some pair. Oh, I bought this like fancy pair of shoes. You think that 12 years from now, you're going to like look at the shoes and be like, wow, they gave me so much pleasure. I'm so glad I spent $1,000 on some shoes. Wow, that was such a great idea. And you're going to be like, no, I could have spent $1,000. I could have had one Bitcoin. Now it's worth so much. Look how much. That's probably what you'll be doing. Probably what you'll be thinking.
Okay, let's say you really want a car right now. And if you don't buy it now, when you're 90 with all the Bitcoins in the world, now you're like, I'm too old to even drive my dream car. But I could have.
I don't know. If you like it or you're like so into the cars, then buy a car. I don't know.
I guess it's like the balance, right? However
Look, if you're in a position where you can afford a car, you'll know it.
Yeah.
Most people shouldn't be buying some stupid car.
True.
Most people should not be doing that.
True.
They should be saving money. And the only way you're going to save money and get out ahead, I mean, not the only way, but the best way on a risk-adjusted basis, almost certainly, is to buy Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is extremely liquid. It's getting more liquid every day. It's just like most likely it's a better idea for the vast majority of people than to buy a depreciating asset. That, I mean, like a car, it gets you around, so there's the utilitarian aspect, and then you can have like, okay, this is my dream car, so I guess it's like, it's fun or whatever, but financially it's a disaster. It's a depreciating asset that just consumes, and then gets scrapped or like sold, for big loss or whatever. So it's like, okay, you could buy the car, I guess.
What is the meaning of your life?
What's the meaning of my life?
What's the ultimate goal?
To have like a happy, healthy family, I think.
Happy, healthy family. But it has nothing to do with Bitcoin now.
Well, Bitcoin lends to that, of course. I mean, Bitcoin it makes it much easier to have a happy, healthy family, to be like financially secure and independent and not have to worry about the potential monetary collapse of the fiat currency regimes. Makes it much easier to have a happy, healthy life, or to probably do anything, whatever your goal is, even if it's like the most crazy hedonistic all the way to the most noble, selfless, whatever your goal is, it makes it easier. I'm almost certain.
Thank you so much for being here today. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Very much a pleasure.